think it's just it's like I want to disengage because I'm nervous. Hi, and welcome to my podcast. Looking over there because that's where I keep all the words. Actually, over there is the beautiful view of downtown Calgary. I'll show it to you because that's where I keep my words. Today in Calgary, it's actually pretty cold. I went out for a little post-work walk and knit session, and I turned around after a little bit under 6 minutes, I would say, because it was too cold and I was not enjoying it. So it's been a little bit of a low on the movement day for me today. But it's pretty early. I'm going to go ahead and be honest and say that it's only been a weekend since my last podcast, but don't tell anyone. I decided that my family's coming to visit on Wednesday, and so there's going to be back-to-back visits in Calgary. One good thing about traveling is, traveling, and the other thing is I think I see my family more because they want to come visit me in the random places that I am. Otherwise, I would probably see them, who wants to come to the same place over and over and over again? So anyway, I'm not sure if I'm going to get a chance to do a podcast recording on Friday. So I thought I would do this week's podcast about that little thing that I promised I would talk to you about more on my first one, which is the ridiculous amount of yarn that I've purchased in Canada since I've been here. Now, I have been here 1 month. No, it's ridiculous. Yeah. 1 month it's too much. So the first thing I'm going to do is, this time I wrote notes so I wouldn't forget to tell you things like, look, it says right here, tell you what my name is. So my name is Naomi and my Instagram is, 2.5 minutes in. That's my name. My name is Naomi and my Instagram is Naomi Joy Knits. So if you want to hop over there and give me a little follow, that would be cool. I'll link my Ravelry, but it's currently a little bit lacking in the updates side. But I do plan to update it because I like having something where all the information is located. I'm also starting this paper knitting book. I got this from my partner for Christmas. It's from Paper Chase, but it's got some textile situation going on, and it's really it's nice to touch. It's nice to hold because of the. I guess this looks like it must be weaving, but it's a cool weaving pattern. But yeah, it's just nice. We like our fiber and our textiles, don't we? So having a book that's fiber is just very pleasing. So I'm trying to keep notes in here, but currently I have group theory notes from. Oh, and this is a knitting pattern that I came up with. I thought it would be kind of a cool color work situation, but I didn't follow through with it. That one. I don't know, it's maths. I've been trying to learn this theoretical mathematics just because why not? Because what else are you going to do with your free time? Knit? Anyways, I have brainstorming ideas of what to do with certain yarns. And I just go through all these different ones. I've been keeping a list of the things that I've done on my whilst in Canada Knits. It's finished objects, whips, and then I've got checklists for what I need to do to finish them. Oh, I finished a lot of these actually. Finished the cherry, haven't done that, haven't done that, haven't done that. Finished that. Okay. Anyway. So yes, podcast notes. I've said my name, right? I wanted to do a big thank you to Lucy from This Nanny Knits because she did a shout out to me in her latest podcast and that was so cool. I really love her podcast. If you haven't come across it, check it out. She has a lot of really cool yarn and really, really cool projects, and she is a very fun person to listen to. So the other one that I wanted to mention was Michelle from Hedge Knit. She's on Instagram as Hedge Knit, which is a fun one to try and say 5 times fast. Hedge Knit, Hedge Knit, Hedge Knit, Hedge Knit, Hedge. Okay, you try. That was pretty good. Hedge Knit, Hedge. It's the end of the day. Anyways, she just started a podcast, and I wanted to shout out someone who just started, just like me, so that's cool. Check out her podcast. I will link it below, because I don't know how to do that. So, I'll start out with some finished objects, because I do have a couple. Well, this is a hoe. This is a half finished object, but I did finish the socks. I had a heel to go last time, I think. I had my heel, so I just did the heel. It came out with some holes. I've never done a peasant heel before, and I just followed the pattern. Like I said, my partner has a long heel diagonal, so we'll see if this fits her. But the good thing about a peasant heel is you can always, as much as it doesn't sound pleasant, you can always just rip it out and re-knit it, which I suppose is a good thing about it in general, because if you get a lot of holes in your heels, that's where I generally get holes in my socks. You can kind of re-knit them, although I love darning, so I would probably prefer to darn it, because I think it looks cooler once it's darned. I have a pair of linen trousers that I fell at work and ripped them open, right, kind of like they're culottes, and sort of right here I ripped them, and I got them fixed in a alterations place, and they properly look way cooler now, because they're they've done like this to knit over it, or to stitch over it, like that kind of stitching, because it was it wasn't like, oh, just seam it up or whatever. It was like, anyway, I think things look really cool with mending on them. Anyway, so that's that. We'll see if it fits her well. I think it should. From my just by eye, I think it looks pretty good. Do you know what's funny? People talk about laddering. You can kind of see, and then it kind of stops. Well, maybe it doesn't. I think it does around here. This is a ladder created by those plastic stitch markers. And then I switched to some Coco Knits ones that are thinner, and there's no laddering. How funny is that? I'm sure it'll come out in the blocking, but not yet blocked. So that's my first one. My second finished object is just over here. Figured I might as well bring my whips over whilst I'm at it. So this is my second. I'll go grab the other one as well. Come on, guys. What is this podcast if not me getting up hundreds of times because I haven't properly prepared? I did notes this time. I did bring some things over. Not like last time. So this is my second Mountain Melody hat for my friend's baby. He is just over I don't remember how many months he is at the moment, but I've done this in 2 colors. This is a test knit. This is test knit number 2, because the first one I did, well, the first one I thought that I did the decreases, I did do the decreases wrong, in the wrong place, on the first one. So the first one was an incorrect test knit, inaccurate following of instructions. But this is the accurate one, and I just did it 2-toned, and I had the yarn, I wasn't going to have enough blue to do the whole hat in blue. Possibly if I had just done it in blue the first time, but I didn't think, anyways. For this one, I knew I wouldn't have enough blue, so I started with the green, And this is just, I do the Russian join almost always. It's not the best join for when you change colors. I should probably start doing the whole just leave a tail and weave it in. But anyway, it's turned out beautifully. So then up here, I kind of just did color work because I wanted the crown to be in this color. But I thought actually it'd be nice to kind of finish up the cables in the blue so that it almost looks like mountains. And it's kind of cool because it looks like mountains, but then it also looks like a flower, which is pretty neat. Ooh, how cute is that? Little flower. This is my leftover yarn. So the yarn chicken paid off. But to be fair, I mean, there's tons of yarn left. I probably could have kept going and had the blues go all the way up to the middle, but I didn't want to. I wanted them to be mountains. So I'm really happy with this. I think it's super cute. I think it's going to look super cute on the bébé. And the other one that I knit at a looser gauge, which actually fits me, I think I'm going to give to the daddy. It's a really nice, soft fabric. It's really quite light. So I think it's going to be really, really, really nice. Oh, what is this? What is this? I have an end. That is so unlike me. I don't know where that end came from. Interesting. It's possible that it's woven. I just need to trim it. But no, I'll reweave that. Then I have a couple of works in progress. So the first one is, this is the yarn I got last week in the yarn sale, the sidewalk sale that the yarn shop near me does, called Stash Yarn. If you're in Calgary, I recommend it. It's a really cool shop, and they do carry a lot of the Canadian local mills, the Briggs and Little and the Custom Woolen Mill. Although also the other shop that I went to carries a lot of them as well. What's it called? Can't remember the name of the other shop that carries a lot of them. Anyway, this is my child's Regia Perfect. So it's for child socks, and it does the same thing that the Wool in the Gang one does, where it gives you the color for the cuff, and then it changes to the leg, but this one, see this, I'm sorry. I did actually cut out my rant about the Wool in the Gang, because this happens to me sometimes. I start ranting about something, and then as I'm ranting through what I'm annoyed about, I realize that I'm wrong. Or like I disagree with myself, and then I come up with arguments on the other side, and then I kind of end and I go, right, well, I'm kind of nowhere now, because I kind of don't back what I've just been saying. I like to kind of start talking about stuff and not actually be fully behind it. Anyway, so in the middle of my rant, I was like, you know what? I kind of disagree with myself. Never mind. It's not actually annoying. It's perfectly fine. But the rant that I was having was like, why do you have this thing with this like dyed in the wool sock, and then you have the person like break for a peasant heel? Because you could just have, in the pattern, you could just have them do a short row heel and then have the actual heel yarn in the sock, you know. But with the Wool in the Gang one, they have you break and wind off the heel yarn. So the heel yarn is dyed into it, but first there's yellow yarn and then heel yarn. And you break the yellow yarn and you break the heel yarn and you put the yellow yarn in as a peasant heel, and then you put the heel yarn aside, lose it probably, and then do the sock, and then come back and do the peasant heel or the afterthought heel. And it's like, just do in the pattern, just have it be a short row heel, and then you just do the heel and you're done. And it's there, and you don't need any of this yellow yarn business, none of this breaking the yarn business. Anyway, that's what the Regia does. So they have the heel yarn, it's going to show up here, and once it shows up, I start doing a short row heel. And that seems to be the more sensible way to do it, right? I don't know. Anyway, I spared you my rant last week, and then I gave it to you this week. So yeah, I'm just starting on the leg. You can see we're going into some colors now, which is very exciting. And this is going to be for little Bubba's big sister. so that's exciting. I do need to cast on another one of these because these are for my partner, and she comes in on the 7th. So my mom and dad are coming on Wednesday, which is why I'm filming now. And I've made them their things. My mom's got her nice top, and my dad has got his fabulous slippers. I think I am going to attempt to sew them just because it's such a weird thing to try and do. I want to see if it's possible. But I decided I'm going to wait for him so I can kind of like measure them around his feet before I attempt to sew them. I still have no idea how I'm going to sew those. I did think, well, maybe they could be like ski boot covers. I think they might be too big for that. Anyway, so that's WIP number 1. The other WIPs, such as Gibson Ruffle Blouse and a couple of socks, are still languishing. I did do a few rows on my Gibson Ruffle Blouse's cuff, but when I call my sister to do like some knitting time, she's quite often not knitting. She's like, I'm too busy, I gotta do some other stuff. So I sit and knit there for a minute, and then I'm just like, I shouldn't really keep going because I don't want to be too far ahead of you. So, yeah, not much to show there on the Gibson Ruffle, but I have just started on, this is a pattern I got, very unlike me, I got a while ago and didn't immediately start knitting it, and why was that? Oh, it was because when I bought it, there was no English version. I bought the German version, and I was like, that'll be fine. Hashtag not obstructed by not knowing the language, and I thought it would be fine, but it wasn't. I tried Google Translate, I tried to kind of just like work out what was going on, and I was like, nah. So I emailed the pattern designer, and she was like, oh yeah, the English version's coming soon. Like, so this is going to be the Marta V-neck jumper, which is by, let me quickly find out. It's by Tanja Koenigs. I probably pronounced that wrong. So yeah, the Marta V-neck jumper, summer edition. I waited for the English version, which is why I didn't cast it on as soon as I bought it. But originally I was going to do this in the alpaca that I did the cherry in, but I did the cherry instead because I was waiting, so I started the cherry. Then, this is one of the topics, and anyways, I cast it on. Here it is, this is the beginning. Not much to show here. It's done on 7mm needles, and I am doing it in this absolutely dreamy, I do really like Katja. I know it's like a very commercial yarn company, but they tend to do really nice yarns. This is Katja, and it is Concept Mohair. I'll show you more in a second because I'm going to go through now. So those are my WIPs. Those were my FOs. Oh, and this is the leftover I have of the green. So that's like, you could get 2 heels out of that probably. So now I'm going to show you all of the yarn that I brought with me, thinking I will have 3 months and I'm going to use all of this yarn in that 3 months. And then I will show you the yarn that I purchased whilst here. I'm not going to show all of it because I've showed some of it in previous podcasts, and also it would just take too long. So I'm going to leave out the stuff that I have already shared with you. But then the other stuff I will show. I'm going to pick up some plastic now. Again. So, the first thing I brought was this ice yarn stuff. I've been going on about how much of it I have. I have so much of it. This is the leftovers from my September jacket. I was saying I had like 4 balls. There's this, and this. So, yeah, that's probably the leftovers from the like whole body. And then this is the leftovers from the 2 sleeves, because I did it holding double, so that's why the like leftovers are very similar in size. Time for a sip of cold tea. I have some Silver Needles tea. Absolute favorite. It's like a white tea. Oh, it's so flavorful. Cold tea, I left it all day, and then this morning, and I came home and I was like, I've got cold tea waiting for me. So it's delicious, it's cold, it's white tea. I'm gonna cut this whole section out, don't worry. So, ice yarn. This is this random yarn. I got 12 balls of it for £12 from the Bay of Ebs, as me and my partner like to call it. So it's 25% alpaca, 20% wool, and 55% acrylic. It's not ideal. It's 50 grams, and for 50 grams you get 350 meters. So there's a whole lot of meterage here. It's meant to be done on size 3 mil needles, apparently. So yeah, it's I think this is like a Turkish company, Ice Yarns. I just really loved the color, and I was like, you know what? It's okay that it's alpaca or acrylic, because I'm buying it used from eBay, so it's not like I'm forcing the production of acrylic. I don't know. The things you tell yourself, right? This is my whole bunch of swatches, and I found it useful in the past to see other people's swatches, so I'll show this to you. This is, and I'm so weird, I did the swatch with double at the end, and I was like, well, I don't want to use a not completely perfectly full thing of yarn, so I'll leave these attached to the swatch, because who knows, I might want to unravel it and use it, and then if I don't break the yarn, it's really useful that this is all just here attached, because then I won't have to reattach the yarn. In actual fact, I have 12 balls of 350 meters. When am I really gonna need this like tiny amount? No, I should just cut it, be a normal person, take it off. Also, this is another thing, like, it doesn't need to be on a cable. It can be bound off. Well, but if it's bound off, it's a lot more of a pain to like unwind. These are the thought processes that I have, and well, that's fine. So I learned from someone, I think it might be Felicia. She's got a great podcast from, I could be wrong though. I don't want to put false techniques into people's mouths, but it might just be Knitting Traditions, Inga from Knitting Traditions. I'm sure loads of people do this, so let's take my trusty notebook to give you a background. So here there's like yarn overs to show what size needle I'm using. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 yarn overs. So this is a size 5 needle. And this gauge was not so much to measure my gauge, but just to see if I liked the fabric. So I didn't do it for very long. I was like, okay, fine, that's good. Let's see the next fabric. So then this one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, size 7 millimeter, not size 7, sorry, 7 mil, which is pretty holy. Then this one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is it more than 7? Is it? Yeah, it's more than 7. It's 8. And I mean, this is just like, that's not really even fabric, is it? I mean, maybe it is. It's just very, very meshy, mesh-like fabric. And then, this is where I forgot how the technique worked. And I was like, how am I supposed to do this? Because then I started playing around with different smaller numbers of sizes. So this is a size 4. And I was like, okay, this is nice. And then this is a size 3.5. I was like, I can't remember how people did a half. I know there was definitely like space and then another one to signify something. But then later I was watching more podcasts, and I think people do purl bumps to signify the 0.25. So it's like 1 purl bump is 0.25, 2 purled bumps is 0.5, 3 is 0.75. How about those maths, guys? but I forgot that, so I was like, I don't know what to do, so I did here, it's size 2, no, 3, sorry, so this was size 4, this is 3.5, and this is 3, I believe this would be 3.5 plus another little bit, so 3.75. I believe that was my logic. Chaotic? Yes. And then this is 1, 2, 3, 4.5. So I just had a bunch of different, oh, and this is 4.5 held double. I can tell that. So it was just kind of trying to see what I wanted to do. And then this, because I did the September jacket in brioche, I did the brioche as a bigger, this was like my gauge, actually, so it was bigger. And that's what I ended up doing the September jacket in, 4.5 in brioche. So, I've been talking about this a lot. I'm trying to figure out another thing to do with this. And I recently got some mohair, which I won't show again, from eBay. This is stuff I've already shown you. So I brought that with me. That was going to be a project. I brought this. This is the leftover. This is the leftover yarn undyed from my Wednesday sweater. And when I said, how is it that I have nearly 500 grams of wool that I didn't need? You know, I don't know. I don't understand how I would be like, this is how much I need for a sweater, and then be basically twice, I have bought twice as much as I needed. But anyways, this is what I was saying last week. I want to try and dye with avocado, which I am going to try and do this week, I think. So that is another thing I brought with me. My plan was to finish that with the Wednesday sweater and it would be done and maybe make a hat out of it. Well, that's 400 grams that I just showed you. Here's 500, so that's total 500. And then I still have some left over here, which might in itself be enough to make a hat. And this is the leftover mohair from the Wednesday sweater, and I am planning to make a hat with this. And it might be a very, very soon cast on, actually, making this. But I've been so distracted by making things for people who are visiting. So my parents will be going back, and they live very near to my friend with the bebes. So I'm trying to finish up the baby knits before my parents leave, which will be like sometime the week after next. That's why I'm so distracted by like children's socks and hats and things. And then my sister's coming. I've already finished the thing I made for her. And then after my sister, my partner. So trying to make sure that I prioritize those things so that they can take them with them and they can leave my flat. Then, of course, I had the Gibson Ruffle blouse, which I brought a whole extra cone of alpaca for, and then proceeded to make an entire cherry jumper and have this much leftover alpaca. So this is that alpaca. It's really thin. It's lace weight. Doesn't have any stretch to it at all, really. So it's really nice and drapey. I am dreaming of like marling this with something because I love the idea of like a navy marled situation. I was considering marling it with this, but I'm not sure how nice, because this is Aran weight and this is lace weight, so I'm not sure how nice the marling would actually be with such a difference in weight. It'd probably be fine, but now I have this whole avocado plan. This can be marled at another date. So that was another thing. It was supposed to be used all up and is clearly not. I was looking for these. I'm glad I went to the bottom of that basket. These are things from my Airbnb. They're super nice. Very useful, but they do kind of shed on the yarn a little bit. There's like bits of the raffia. But other than that, I very much appreciate that they're here and that they're empty. So, things... Oh, this is the last thing that I brought with me, which I haven't even dug into. So the other things I brought with me, I did make them. And the only other thing that I brought with me to do here that I haven't made is that whip that's just still languishing. I have to admit it to you. It's my Pescatarian socks. They're a twisted stitch. I'll show them again just because I haven't shown them since the first episode. It's in my beautiful knitter's bag. I survived 2020 thanks to knitting from a wonderful shop kind of near me called Beautiful Knitters. The ladies there, I spend so long just lingering and chatting. And I got this as well. My partner got it for me. It's the cutest little row counter. I just think it's gorgeous. And I do sometimes wear it on my clothing because I am that cool. And then when I'm knitting and walking, I can easily keep track of rows because, you know, phones work and watches work and blah, blah, blah. But actually sometimes just like, dink. Anyway, these are the socks that I've been working on since well before I came to Canada. And I brought these with me to finish whilst here. And I just haven't even attempted to get back to them. They're so beautiful. But like I said, distractions. I've been distractedly gift knitting just because so excited to see people. And then this is the other thing I brought with me to make. So I thought it was a pretty small amount of stuff that I brought with me for 3 months. Just, you know, stuff for a Wednesday sweater, done. Stuff for a Gibson Ruffle blouse. I still have one more sleeve. Really complicated socks to knit, haven't done. I brought some simple socks to knit, and I completely used that ball of yarn up. Made a hat for my Airbnb host's new baby. I made a pair of shorties and a pair of longies for myself, of socks. And yeah, so I used that up. And then I brought the stuff for the September jacket, which I made. I just happened to have like twice as much again left over. Same with the Wednesday sweater. And then this is the last project I brought with me to do whilst I'm here, which I haven't started yet, but I'm getting very tempted to get going on, which is the Friday tee by Petiteknit. And it's a striped tee, and it's super, super, super cute. And I got actually this Sunday yarn, which is Sandness Garn and Petiteknit. And it is just like the softest, nicest wool. It's just 100% wool. It's merino wool. It's not super wash. It's just 100% wool. 235 meters for the 50 grams. So I have these colors, which I got in Prague actually, to make this. And I did actually supplement them because originally in Prague they didn't have enough of the lighter color. This color is 1012. They don't do the color name on the ball band, but I know there are color names for these. This is 1012, and then this is 4313. And then, so this one, they didn't have enough of this to be like the background color, which is I think how Petiteknit's one, it's like basically a whitish color with a pinkish stripe, and the stripes aren't the same thickness, so it's like thinner stripes. And then I was in the shop trying to look for yarn to make this, and they had the Sandness Garn, they had the Sunday, and I was like, oh cool, I could use the actual yarn that the pattern calls for. That's going to be a first ever, probably. And I was excited, and then they didn't have enough white for it to be the base, but they had enough white for it to be the stripe, and they had enough of the pink for it to be the base. And I was like, oh, that's okay. And then as I thought about it, I was like, it's actually kind of not. I kind of really want it to be white with pink. So I got some more white from here in Calgary, but obviously it's not the same dye lot. And you probably can't tell. You can kind of tell. This one's a little bit darker than this one. And it's definitely like visible. So I'm not sure how I'm going to deal with that. either I just make like the sleeves a little darker. I'll probably notice that. I might have to just, I mean, maybe I could just do like, I think I have 2 skeins of the dark one. I mean, potentially I could just kind of like rotate them. So it's like I do a stripe in one of the whites, and then I do a pink, and then I do a different white, and then I do a pink, and then I do a different white. So if the whites kind of change, your thoughts on this would be appreciated. But anyways, I've got a load of this. Again, folks, I may have just totally gotten the amount that I needed wrong. Because does it seem weird to you that for a t-shirt, granted, each ball of this is like 235 meters. Does it seem odd that for a t-shirt, I have, and I generally knit the size small, so it's like the second size usually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 10 balls of wool for a t-shirt. I mean, it is fingering, but that means there's a lot of meterage in each one. 230. I think I have serious, but I don't understand why am I doing theoretical maths? I need to be doing like simple algebra, because not even algebra, simple arithmetic is what I need to be doing, because I clearly have no idea how to add numbers up together. Because I think 10 balls of fingering weight yarn is not the correct quantity to make a t-shirt in a size small. I think that's the feeling I have on the matter. Anyway, so those were the things I brought with me to Canada to keep me going for 3 months. And they clearly could have done. But did I let them? Oh, I lie. There's one more thing that I brought with me to Canada to keep me going. This was my backup. If I totally finished everything else, I had this as a backup. And it's like, okay, I have 2 balls of it, but I don't even know where it is. And I also missed one. I brought the merino with me from this merino that I made the ranunculus out of. That doesn't fit me. I brought that with me as well. So, I mean, to be fair to myself, I did use up, at least I did make a project with all but 2 of the yarns that I brought with me to make projects out of. That's not very fair, is it? It's still pretty poor showing. Anyway. What can we say? This is that Malabrigo lace weight single ply merino that I made the ranunculus out of, and this is also what I used for the color work on the cherry. And I balled it up into 2 separate balls because I was thinking of possibly adding like some crochet to the sleeves of the ranunculus, but I'm now thinking that I might not, but I've left it in this. But look, I made 2 balls, but did I break the yarn? No, because who knows? I might decide against having 2 balls, and then I'll be annoyed that I've broken it. I have one more join to make. This is the way that my brain works. So I brought one other thing, and this is so cool. And do you know sometimes when you get yarn and it's so cool that like you have trouble using it? Because you're like, this is just so versatile, it's so great, I could use it for so many things, and then there's too many options and then you don't use it ever. So I got this in Prague as well. This is called Kremky Soul Wool, and it's all natural sock yarn made with muslin-free wool, and the wool is actually from Czech Republic, and then the linen is from Belgium. So super cool. It's not super, at least in the yarn shops I went to in Prague, there weren't a lot of like Czech wools. More plastic. I just had to move that, it was annoying me. So this is 100 grams, it's 420 meters, and it's meant to be a sock wool that is a no nylon sock wool. So instead of nylon, they've put linen in, which I think is super cool because it's quite a strong fiber linen. So this is 80% wool and 20% linen. I got it though because I wanted to make the Ingrid top by Georgiana Fibers. I could have said that name wrong. So I got 2 balls of it because I thought I might need 2 for the Ingrid top. And that's what I got it for. That was what I was planning to do with it. I brought it with me as a backup project in case I finished the other projects. I clearly haven't. But this is super soft. It's so soft. And I think I still want to make the Ingrid top with this. It's really beautiful. But I don't know, it's a very wool, it is, I mean, it feels like sock yarn. It's wool, you know? So, maybe that's fine. There's another ball in here somewhere. So, then I came here and I bought all of the yarn.